Hi, everyone. I'm Tammy Vercauteren. I'm the project director for the Colorado Online App Strategic Plan. Having been involved in online learning for over 25 years now, as a student, a faculty member, and as an administrator, I'm excited about this new consortial approach to online learning. As the Dean of Online Learning at Front Range Community College before I took on this role, I had the opportunity to work with faculty and staff from individual campuses to reimagine a college-wide approach to online learning. Together, we increased access to online courses, programs, and services, and increased pass rates in our online courses by 7% over a 5-year period. I can't wait to see the impact we can have on the lives of students from across Colorado and beyond as we work together to build on the strengths of faculty and staff at all of our colleges, CCC Online and the System Office. On this next slide, I'll show you the overall timeline for the project. The consortial model overview was published last fall, and we're in the middle of the pre-launch planning phase. By next fall, we'll be ready to begin implementing elements of the new model. We'll transition over to a shared instance of D2L, which will allow students and instructors to get to all of their online courses from the same D2L homepage. This was one of the top requests from both groups when we surveyed them in the spring. We'll also begin piloting individual courses and programs being offered through individual colleges, as well as some of those back-end processes, the registration system, the financial model. By the end of the following year, launch phase 2, most courses and programs will be offered through the colleges, and by launch phase 3, we'll be fully functional in the new model. At each stage, we'll assess how the process is working and continue to make adjustments. This next slide summarizes our project approach. Our focus is always on students and their success. And as we were reviewing the number of students who take online courses every year, we realized our first priority has to be a smooth transition for our current students and focusing on classes. We can build out our additional services along the line. Colorado Online App also needs to serve all students, not just students in fully online courses, but students who are taking courses as part of their overall college plan and maybe taking campus and hybrid remote courses as well. They all deserve to have access to online courses and the services that are needed to succeed in them. We'll work together to identify and build on effective processes already in place at individual colleges and CCC Online, and to make sure we're on time with this new model, we'll use a rapid prototyping approach. So we'll bring together people who've been involved in these processes to design what they believe is the best possible solution or solutions. We'll gather input on those, and then we have a process for getting decisions made so we can continue moving forward and making adjustments. This next slide outlines the project structure. Landon talked about the steering committee and the project team that has representatives from all of the colleges as well as different functional groups. As we went through the student mapping experience, we identified lots of different areas where we need additional focus, and we combined them into 5 subcommittees that will be looking at some of the student-facing areas, such as academic affairs, technology, learning design, learning resources, and student support resources. In the spirit of this consortial model we're implementing, each team will be co-chaired by a representative from one of the colleges and a representative from CCC Online. So we bring that knowledge and expertise. And then the committee membership was rounded out with other representatives from the colleges in the system, from urban and rural schools, faculty and instructors, and staff with expertise in the specific areas required by those subcommittees. We also created an online faculty and instructor advisory committee specific to this project so that we can ensure that faculty and instructors with experience in online learning and in their communities, working with your students, your faculty and instructors, have a voice in the process. Vice presidents from the colleges and CCC Online nominated 1 faculty member and 1 instructor from each college, and a chair and an instructor from CCC Online. That group started meeting in the late summer, already had input on the wireframe, and will continue meeting twice a month throughout this year so that they can provide feedback to all the committees. The groups will also rely on functional groups and consultants that are already in place across the system. Examples of those include deans, directors in various areas, advising, IT, financial aid, the discipline groups, other faculty groups, including SFAC, the State Instructor Advisory Committee, Curriculum Committee, the Student Advisory Committee, all of these different groups that represent different perspectives and already have representation from across the system. Members for all of these teams and updates on the project and the progress we're making will be posted on the coloradoonline.cccs.edu blog. The decision matrix will be that once the project subcommittees make their recommendations to the project team is empowered to make tactical decisions. This is in keeping with the structure already set out by the steering committee. But if any of those decisions would imply a change in strategy or scope, require significant costs or impact on multiple colleges, then those would go to the steering committee and they would weigh in and make the decision on how to move forward so that we can keep going. The steering committee includes Chancellor Joe Garcia, executive sponsor for this project, Landon Pirius, other vice chancellors, as well as representatives from President's Council from both rural and urban schools, folks who are involved in the original strategic planning, as well as some new representatives. The next few slides will go through the topics that the different subcommittees will be working on this year. And you can see they're mapped out on a sort of a general timeline. So the most critical topics will be happening in the fall, and some of those are because we need time to build the technology to make this happen. The academic affairs team will be working on course scheduling, determining how many courses and sections we need, looking at processes for matching up CCC online instructors who have a wealth of experience teaching online with the colleges who will be needing to offer a lot more sections online, processes for adding sections to meet demand, business requirements for the technology build. Later in the fall, we'll be digging into issues related to curriculum and instruction, how we articulate to accreditation agencies, our shared standards and practices and services, as well as creating a prioritized list of those areas where we may need additional guidelines. Some possibilities for that include, prerequisites. Different schools use different standards right now in terms of measuring academic attendance, those types of things. In the spring, we'll do an inventory of our online degrees and certificates that are available right now. And we'll be looking at program and discipline review guidelines and where do we want to add courses or even entirely new programs to increase our offerings there. We'll also be looking at non-credit offerings and how do they fit in the mix as we're trying to meet the needs of our 21st century students. The technology team will be working on coordinating services, what should be centralized, what should be provided locally. They're working on the LMS configuration and integrations with different software tools like UJA or Evaluation Kit and the transition plan. In the spring, they'll be looking more deeply into how to manage support calls in case we get a surge as more students are moving into this new model, as well as the technology build itself so that the application process and the course schedule and registration processes all run smoothly and students get to the right course shell and desire to learn. The learning design team will continue working on the Common Course Framework. What is the navigation for all students? What do those courses look like? The course design process. What are our basic design standards that will apply to all courses? And documenting the process for developing ready-to-teach courses that'll have the benefit of instructional design support and working with faculty from the state discipline groups to create a resource that can be used by all faculty and instructors across the system as is or can be customized. They'll also be looking at identifying a common tool to help with syllabus building, making that easier to do and more available to students, and then also the training and support needed for faculty and students. The Learning Resources team is looking at course materials and making sure that they're available to students, whatever school is their home college and wherever they're taking their online courses from. This includes library resources, open educational resources, books, materials, and supplies. How do we make those available, as well as digital content? The Student Support Services team will be focusing on registration to start off with. We want students to be able to apply to their home college and not have to apply when they want to take an online course through any of the consortial colleges. Identifying priorities for the student registration experience is also right at the top of their list. What do students want to search on to find the courses that they need? And then how will those appear in Banner or Navigate when they're registering? The financial aid group will be making sure that students can use their home college financial aid for the consortially offered online courses. And as we move through the year, we'll dig deeper into guidelines that are needed for consistency for other services, accessibility, advising, tutoring, coordination of other services, what should be central, what should be local, and the communication flow to students so that we're offering one voice and not confusing our students. So that is a lot of information. And I want to extend an offer that we want to hear from you. Many thanks to Deidre Schoolcraft. She is the SBAC president and project team member who's been helping me a lot throughout this summer, setting up the online faculty and instructor advisory committee and help put together these questions for the discipline groups at the 2-2. So your discipline chairs have these and they'll gather responses and submit them so that then we can follow up with you throughout the year. And finally, I wanted to give you all the information again that you need to stay connected with us. Thank you for the time that you're taking to learn more about this important project, to provide your feedback, and for all you do to serve our students every day. We look forward to working with you. Have a great 2-2 and a great semester.